We now welcome our special guest for this occasion, Shri Sudheendra Kulkarni. Shri Sudheendra Kulkarni was an officer on special duty to India's former Prime Minister, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in the Prime Minister's office between 1998 and 2004. Mr. Kulkarni has authored Music of the Spinning Wheel, Mahatma Gandhi's Manifesto for the Internet Age. Mr. Kulkarni is an alumnus of IIT Bombay. Respected sir, welcome. We would like to hear your kind words on this occasion.
Good morning and namaskar to one and all. At the outset, I wish to pay my respects to Shri Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab, the founder of the Center for Telecom Management and Studies, CTMS. My sincere thanks to Shri Mohan Raju ji for inviting me to participate in this relaunch of CTMS today. Chaudhary Sahab is truly a legend, a pioneer of the telecom industry in India. Just as FC Kohli Sahab was the pioneer of the software industry, two legends, one is no more, the other is as active as ever. He's perhaps in his 90s, I don't know, but he's a 90-year-old or rather 90-year young Karm Yogi. True to his name, Hanuman, Hanuman in Ramayana lifted the Dronagiri Parvat to bring Sanjeevani to save the life of Lakshman. At a very critical point in the history of the telecom industry in India, Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab lifted the mountain of demonopolization, a very hard task those days, and saved the telecom industry. So my salutation to you, Chaudhary Sahab. May you live 100 years in service of the telecom industry and in service of Mother India. Friends, today as CTMS is being reborn, it's our duty to remember and recognize the contribution of other pioneers in the sector. With immense admiration and gratitude, I would like to recall the names of Shri Vittal, Sam Pitroda, Jagdish Seth, M.B. Atreya, Dr. N. Seshagiri, Sunil Mittal, the entrepreneur Sunil Mittal, Dhirubhai Ambani and his sons Anil Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, and many, many others. I must confess that I played a very, very small role in the telecom revolution when I was working with our late Prime Minister, Shraddheya Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. My contribution was what in the Ramayana is known as the squirrel's contribution. The squirrel that contributed its little might, its little effort in the construction of the Ram Setu. I was in the PMO and coordinated the activities of the IT task force in 1998 and subsequently the telecom task force 1999. The contribution of these two reports is well known, well recognized, especially the 1999 new telecom policy. It proved to be a game changer. It demonopolized the telecom sector, promoted private sector participation, or rather opened up further. Most importantly, in a very bold move, it facilitated the transition from fixed license fee to revenue share model and thereby saved the industry. In all this, I must admit today and recognize today the immense guidance I received from Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab. He was the managing director and chairman of VSNL those days, and sitting on the top floor of VSNL building, the iconic VSNL building in Bombay. And whenever I went there, It was such a great learning experience. Of course, he would share his knowledge about telecom, but Hanuman Chaudhary Saab is a man of many interests. So I learned a lot from him. Thank you very much, Chaudhary Saab. Friends, all this change in the telecom sector, which Sharma ji mentioned in his inaugural address, could not have been possible without political support at the highest level. Beginning with Rajiv Gandhi, subsequently P.V. Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, with whom I worked closely. And I remember Vajpayee ji redefined IT as India's tomorrow. IT as India's tomorrow. And he said, I quote, India cannot become an IT superpower unless we rapidly expand and modernize our telecom infrastructure to match the best in the world. And it has indeed happened now. He also showed necessary political will to end the deadlock in the sector. The government removed obstacles in the path of stalled investments, both domestic and foreign. More importantly, he used to always stress that the benefits of IT should not remain confined to the well-off and English-educated urban classes. I remember those days, one pioneer of the telecom industry in India, Dhirubhai Ambani, he changed the famous slogan, Roti, Kapda or Makan, to Roti, Kapda, Makan and Mobile. And he said that the mobile call should be cheaper than the postcard. In fact, today, postcard has altogether disappeared, but mobile calls have become not just cheaper, but in fact, almost zero. So friends, what we have achieved today is not, connectivity was a challenge those days. But today we have achieved hyperconnectivity. I must, however, recall with some regret that the report of yet another task force did not get the necessary support. Of course, our government departed in 2004, and the sector of hardware and electronics has not received the same attention and support that software received. As a result, we have to regrettably admit that we have continued to remain dependent on imports of electronics and hardware goods to such an extent that today our import bill on electronics is close to the import bill on hydrocarbons, that's oil, which is truly alarming. In contrast, our neighbor China focused a lot on the hardware industry and became a supplier of high quality hardware equipment, including smartphones, all over the world. We have a lot to learn from our neighbor China. Friends, as CTMS is being revived, it's time to look to the future. I said we have achieved connectivity, we have achieved computation, but there is one more C that needs to be our priority, and that is co-prosperity. Here I have very briefly 5 thoughts to share. First, the pace of application of the digital revolution, that is in artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, etc., the application of these tools to large sections of our economy is still very slow. Agriculture, MSMEs, the informal sector, even education and healthcare, focusing on the common people, there is a lot to be done, and therefore there should be no complacency at all that we have done. Of course, what we have done is very impressive and we should be proud of it, but we should not be complacent. Second, the the goal of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which was mentioned earlier by Ramchandranji, equitably and in a very fair manner, reach. Definitely, our society today is growing more unequal than ever before, and this should be a matter of concern. And I believe that the telecom and digital reduce it. What is required is policy. What is required is political priority and industry priority. Second, the task of reaching the fruits of digital revolution in Indian languages is as relevant as ever, although some progress has indeed been made. Because unless common people receive these tools in their own languages, they will not benefit equitably. Third, Atmanirbhar Bharat, extremely important. We have achieved Atmanirbharta, self-reliance in many fields. Yet, as I mentioned earlier, in some critical areas of infrastructure, equipment, devices, we are far from being Atmanirbhar. And this requires, therefore, a very strong focus on indigenous R&D. Our aim, friends, should be people in other developing countries. What the So thank you, friends. It's a great honor to be at the relaunch function of CTMS. Mohan Raju Saab, on your young shoulders, you have taken a big responsibility, but with Chaudhary Saab still there to guide you and guide all of us, I'm sure that CTMS will play the same role in future as it did in the past. Thank you all very much. Jai Hind.
Namaskar. Very good.
Thank you very much, sir. Our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for gracing the occasion with your presence and kind words and highlighting some key aspects of the current scenarios prevalent. Thank you so much, sir.